Ever since I was young, I've been drawn to capturing life's most vivid moments. There's something uniquely thrilling about turning ordinary experiences into extraordinary stories through the lens of my camera. My YouTube journey began quietly 8 months ago, just casually documenting motorcycle rides and exploring abandoned sites. Initially, growth was slow, just a few hundred subscribers, mostly friends. Then one day, a haunted building exploration video unexpectedly went viral, skyrocketing my subscriber count to over 22,000. Overnight, casual interest turned into serious passion. After months of saving, endless shifts at my part-time job, and sacrificing little luxuries, I'd finally managed to buy my dream bike. The Yamaha R3 Matte Black Edition, 2023. Today marked its first real ride, destined for what I hoped would be my next viral sensation. Late one night, lost in Reddit threads about urban exploration, my eyes stumbled upon a post that instantly grabbed my attention. It spoke about an abandoned amusement park situated on the outskirts of town. This park was a thriving hub in the early 90s until a series of mysterious malfunctions and financial crises forced its closure. Strangely, unlike other abandoned sites, it had hardly been documented online. That night, sleep evaded me as visions of cinematic shots at golden hour filled my thoughts. I decided to go right after my evening lecture, planning meticulously throughout the day. I packed my new Canon EOS R6 camera, a sturdy tripod, a flashlight, a helmet-mounted GoPro, and even an extra phone for backup. The excitement was overwhelming. The ride to the amusement park was mesmerizing. The evening sun bathed the town in warm golden hues. The air crisp, and the gentle rumble of my Yamaha made the journey even more exhilarating. As I approached the park, an eerie yet oddly beautiful silhouette loomed ahead. Rusted gates intertwined with climbing vines and surrounded by overgrown shrubs. A thrill of nervous anticipation surged through me. Finding the main gate locked tight with rusted chains, I searched around until spotting a broken section in the fence. Slipping through, I immediately noticed an atmosphere thick with decay. Rusted metal, rotting wood, and wet earth combined into a distinct, unsettling scent. Walking slowly, camera rolling, every corner of the park seemed like a forgotten memory. The bumper cars lay scattered in silent chaos, their once bright paint peeling. The Ferris wheel tilted precariously, whispering rusty complaints into the soft breeze. Arcade tokens lay scattered, untouched for decades. I began narrating softly, capturing every detail meticulously. This was the place families once flocked to, laughter echoing through these now silent rides. As twilight descended, shadows grew darker, and an eerie stillness enveloped everything. Switching on my flashlight, I moved carefully toward the carousel. Once vibrant horses, now chipped and cracked, looked ghostly under the dim beam of my light. Suddenly, my flashlight caught movement. A fleeting shadow darted behind a nearby game booth. Heart pounding, I paused, listening intently. Silence. Checking my GoPro footage, I saw nothing definitive, just an unsettling blur. Shaking off my nerves, I continued cautiously, whispering to my viewers that I wasn't alone. Minutes later, another noise, metal scraping against metal. I spun around, flashlight scanning wildly, but again, nothing visible. Anxiety tightened its grip. My breath quickened as I spotted a faint flicker of another flashlight deeper within the park. My instincts screamed to run, but determination kept me rooted. This footage could be unparalleled. Pushing onward, I approached the dilapidated clown stage. Just as I began recording, violent rustling erupted from nearby bushes. Fear surged through me like electricity. Swinging the flashlight quickly, I glimpsed a barefoot figure, dirty and ragged, disappearing swiftly behind the stage curtains. My heart felt trapped in my throat. Without thinking, I sprinted toward my motorcycle, fumbling desperately with the keys. Mounting the bike, the headlights pierced the darkness, revealing the figure once more, darting across the road, eyes wild, hair tangled. Panic overwhelmed me. I accelerated out, not daring to glance back. That night, safely home but thoroughly shaken, sleep refused to come. For 3 long days, fear dominated my thoughts, preventing me from even touching my camera. Eventually, curiosity compelled me to check the footage. Shivering, I sifted through the night clips, deleting nearly half in fear of encountering the figure again. Despite removing most troubling scenes, the memory haunted me profoundly. In a future video, I finally spoke candidly to my audience. Content creation pushes us to chase thrills, but some thrills have consequences. Never explore alone. Your safety matters more than views. I still remember the exact moment it all started, the day I found the notebook. That afternoon felt like any other, the sun casting its warm glow across the room as I rummaged through my late grandfather's study. The room had a familiar smell, the scent of old books, tobacco, and time. I had always found comfort in it, even after his passing a few years ago. His study was a kind of shrine to the man he'd been. An old leather chair by the window, shelves filled with books, and cabinets full of forgotten relics. But this time, I wasn't looking for anything specific. I was just passing the time, letting my mind wander, until my hand brushed against something unusual. It was a small, leather-bound notebook, its cover cracked and worn, the edges frayed as if it had been hidden away for decades. For reasons I couldn't explain, I felt a strange pull toward it, almost as if it had been waiting for me. Opening it, I saw page after page of hand-drawn sketches, images of strange places and forgotten sights. Some were recognizable, but most were of locations I'd never seen before, places that seemed lost to history. The drawings were beautiful, intricate, but unsettling. And amidst all of them, there was one page that stood out. In faded ink, the words read, "Across the lake, where the silence swings, there's something that doesn't hide in shadows, but floats in the air." I stared at the sentence for a long time, feeling an unexplainable pull toward it. The words were cryptic, but they felt like a riddle, something I needed to solve. There was something more in the way they were written, something mysterious, inviting. I couldn't shake the feeling that this was a sign, a message meant just for me. Without hesitation, I snapped a photo of the page and sent it to Nathan and Cameron. They were my closest friends. Nathan, the rational, calm one, and Cameron, the more sensitive of the two, always on edge, but fiercely loyal. I knew they'd be intrigued by this. They always were when it came to exploring the unknown. Nathan replied first. "What lake?" "Do you mean the one near that abandoned park?" Cameron, naturally more cautious, texted back, "Are you serious? That place is supposed to be cursed or something." "Exactly," I replied. "And that's why we need to check it out. Think about it. An abandoned park, hidden away for years. Who knows what secrets it holds?" After a few moments, Nathan sent a thumbs-up emoji, followed by, "All right, I'm in. Let's go check it out." Cameron, after a long hesitation, finally wrote, "Fine. But if I end up in a horror movie, I'm blaming you both." We met later that evening, just before dusk. The drive to the park was filled with excitement, tension, and a fair bit of nervousness. The road wound through the woods, the trees towering overhead like silent watchers. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the road, I couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding. Something about the air felt different, heavier, like the world was holding its breath. When we arrived, I knew immediately that this place was far more than just an abandoned amusement park. The gate, rusted and barely hanging on its hinges, was slightly ajar, almost inviting us in. The overgrown foliage surrounding the park had begun to reclaim the space, the wild growth creeping over the edges of the rides, like the park was slowly being swallowed by nature itself. I could feel the tension building between us as we stood there, staring at the entrance. Cameron was already shifting uncomfortably, his hands nervously tugging at the sleeves of his hoodie. Nathan, ever the practical one, took the lead. But I could tell even he was uneasy. He didn't say anything, but I could see it in his eyes. "Well," I said, breaking the silence, "let's take a few pictures, look around for a bit, and then we're out. Simple, right?" Cameron gave me a sideways glance. "I don't know, man. This place feels wrong. It's like it's been waiting for us." Nathan, ever the voice of reason, slapped him on the back with a grin. "It's just a park, Cam. Come on. What's the worst that could happen?" But even as he said it, there was a flicker of doubt in his eyes. Something about the park, its decay, its silence, made it feel like more than just a forgotten place. It felt like something else. Something waiting. As we walked through the gate, the world around us seemed to change. The usual sounds of the outside world, the hum of traffic, the rustling of leaves in the wind, vanished. The park was silent. Too silent. The only sounds were the crunch of our footsteps on the cracked pavement and the occasional groan of rusted metal as the wind picked up. The rides were frozen in time, their once vibrant colors now faded and peeling. The Ferris wheel towered above us like a skeletal giant, its frame creaking with every gust of wind. The bumper cars, scattered haphazardly, looked as though they had been abandoned mid-game, frozen in a chaotic moment of time. "This is incredible," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "It's like stepping into a forgotten world." We wandered deeper into the park, snapping pictures of the dilapidated rides and overgrown pathways. The atmosphere was thick with nostalgia, but there was something more. A sense of dread. A heaviness in the air that made it hard to breathe. A few minutes in, I decided it was time to pull my usual prank. "I'll catch up with you guys," I said, feigning a lack of interest. "Just want to check out those old restrooms in the back." Instead, I slipped behind the rusted swing sets, grinning to myself. This would be perfect. I began making strange noises, ghostly giggles, faint whispers, the tapping of something against metal. It was a classic move, something I'd done 100 times before to scare the hell out of Nathan and Cameron. But as I waited, I felt an odd sensation. The air around me felt thicker. The whispers I was creating didn't feel like my own. It felt as though they were coming from somewhere else. Somewhere deep in the park. Somewhere dark and forgotten. I shook it off. I was just being paranoid. It was all part of the prank. Still, a shiver crawled up my spine. Minutes passed before I returned to them, trying to hide my nervousness behind laughter. "Did I get you guys? Come on. That was pretty convincing, right?" Nathan chuckled, but Cameron wasn't laughing. He stood still, looking over his shoulder, eyes wide with uncertainty. "That wasn't you," Cameron said quietly, his voice shaky. "I heard it. I heard them. It wasn't you." I tried to laugh it off, but there was something in the way he looked at me. Something in the air that made it hard to shake the unease that had settled in. It was more than just a prank now. Something had changed. The park wasn't just abandoned. It was alive in its own way. We decided to head back toward the entrance, but the moment we turned around, we heard it again. The dragging moan. This time, it wasn't a prank. It wasn't my voice, or any of us. It was a sound that came from deep within the park, echoing through the stillness. My heart skipped a beat. We froze. Then, soft footsteps, muffled and slow, like someone was walking through dry leaves. But there was no one in sight. Nathan wiped the sweat from his forehead, his composure cracking. This isn't right. We need to go. Now. We turned quickly to leave, but just as we were heading toward the exit, the swing set creaked again. And this time, it wasn't just the wind. It was as if someone had just gotten off the swing. "Let's go," I said, my voice low, trying to mask the unease that had begun to settle in. But just as I spoke, a faint whisper came from behind us. It was impossible to make out the words, but it was close. So close that it felt like the breath was right next to my ear. Cameron spun around, but there was nothing there. No figure, no shadow, just the overwhelming sense that something, or someone, was standing just behind us. And that's when we ran. We didn't stop until we reached the gate, our breath ragged, hearts pounding. We scrambled through the gate, slamming it shut behind us, and jumped into the car. The engine roared to life, and we sped away without a word. That night, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stop thinking about what happened.